As you know, the Meat Eater Live Tour is on April 23rd through May 5th. Chances are in a town near you. What you may not know is you can win tickets to each of these events just by going to a backcountry hunters and anglers pint night. There's going to be a pint night in each of these towns: San Diego, Salt Lake City, Tempe, Anaheim, Boise, Sacramento, Missoula, Portland, Tacoma, where you can compete in Meat Eater trivia and win not only tickets to the show, but a chance to be on stage with all of us. So get your butt to a pint night, and we'll see you on stage.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Tyler.
And you're listening to
The Element Podcast.
What's happening, y'all? Guess what? It's the springtime. And it's a lot more spring in some places than it is others. Our buddy, friend, pal, Ohioan himself, Michael B. Stoll. What is your middle name?
Tristan.
Michael Tristan
right.
Stoll.
Michael T. Stoll.
Michael T. Stoll. That's close. Has been down in Florida chasing the Osceola birds around. We're going to talk all about that here in a second. But as you know, the Element Podcast is brought to you by First Light. Michael, first question.
Bring it.
How did the First Light Spectre work for turkey hunting in Florida?
Pretty good. It's pretty green, and in Florida, I feel like it's always super green. So I seem to blend in pretty well down
You like
there.
the way it worked?
I'm not just saying this, right? But that pattern works in a lot of places.
It sure enough does.
It's weird. And I'm saying this because I did not think that it would be that good of a pattern when it first came out. When it first came out, I thought, it's a little dark. But it actually isn't as dark in some of the lighter places that we hunt as I thought it would be. But it still blends in dark landscapes like cedars, which is also a place where you hunt a lot of places with eastern red cedar.
And the color of that cedar kind of comes out with the palmettos, too. It's about the same shade of green, so it works pretty good. And what I've noticed about swamp country like that is where you were at is a lot like where I used to live on the Texas coast. Real similar environment. Yeah, palmettos. And there's a lot of that, like tan brown down there, too, like the dead palmettos and other stuff, you know. And I figured it worked pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Michael, we're going to ask you some stuff about this. But I want you to first tell the people your general thoughts about Osceolas and how hunting them compared to what you imagined it would.
I knew it was going to be tough going down there, but I don't think I truly understood how much pressure there would be. I mean, I talked to a game warden on the third day of the South Zone season, and he said that there was like 300 people on the piece of public that I was on. And, I mean, it's a pretty good-sized piece of public, but you are fighting over birds. Like, you would hear a gobble, and there would be people riding electric bikes. You'd see dudes running. I mean, it's crazy.
So you saw a lot of people.
Oh, people at every single pull-off. Like,
So dudes are striking a gobble, and
And there's
they're
not a lot
running
of-
to it to try to be the first one there.
yeah, there's not a lot of gobbles to begin with. Like, the birds, compared to, like, an Ohio bird, like an Eastern, I feel like everybody makes this big deal about Easterns and how they're the hardest bird to hunt. It's not even close. It's
Really?
Easterns you got, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours most of the time. And Osceola country, it's like the sun's up, they're not making noise.
Is that because you're hunting public land?
It could be, for sure. But the game warden that I talked to was basically like, dude, calling just doesn't work here. Like, you have to be...
Spot and stalk?
You have to be... Well, I'm sure that would work.
What about if you rode an electric bike
You get
up to one that was like full strut out in the field and you just...
Yeah, you just...
Popped him. Like you're running, maybe not a field. He's just in the palmettos and you're just rolling down a lane real fast and you just straight up like the guys on the horses in the West,
Yep.
you know.
Oh, that's a tactic people use for sure. I heard multiple stories about that. But it wasn't in a field. It was literally on the side of the road. So, not sure how legal that is, but
But you didn't do
sound
that.
like
no,
Yeah, you know why?
Because their electric bike got stolen.
That's exactly right.
That's why. Yeah. So overall, would you think that public land Osceola is an approachable thing for most people, and is it something you'd want to like? Well, not that you'd want to do, because I know you're like crazy, but like something that you feel is a good use of time.
Definitely not. I do have a little bit of a vendetta against them.
I understand
and
how it goes.
Want to do it, but at the same time, it's like if you're going to try to go do the non-permitted public hunt, you need like 2 weeks. Like everybody I talk to, you need more than a week to be able to. Like you can get lucky, but when the time I left, the season had been open for over a week, and there were, I think, 23 birds that were killed on 40,000 acres.
That seems low.
Yeah, just a little bit. And it's because there's dudes at every single stop. So, yeah, I wouldn't do that. If you're going to try to go do the public game, definitely try to pull one of the tags from a permitted hunt. How
much, like, sneaking around, just trying to see some birds and make moves on them did you do?
A lot. Once the game warden was basically like, you can't be trying to call to these birds because they just get up out of there. I was basically like, I'm going to hunt them pretty similar to like deer, which is just like find the hot sign and then set up on it and, maybe do some clucking and purring. But other than that, nothing. Like I'm not calling or anything like that. So it's just trying to get on hot sign and do it. Do the thing. Do the thing.
So did you when you heard gobbles in the morning, did you just sit up there the next day, or what was the sign that you were on?
The sign I was trying to find was mostly feeding type sign.
Scratching?
Way back in there. Like I went to a place one day that was like 2 miles back in, and there was a lot of sign there. So the next morning I go in, set up, got the decoys out and everything. I'm feeling real good. And I hear a bunch of gobbles. The most gobbles I heard any morning, probably like 3 or 4 birds, which isn't that much. But for what I was going through, it was a ton of gobbles, and I was fired up. But there's a different piece of public that you can't hunt and you can't access this WMA from. But I think somebody did and shot the birds, or shot a bird.
You heard a shot? How about that?
Yeah, so that was a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Do you think that there's a good number of birds that are quiet?
Oh, yeah.
Like they fly off the roost and everything and don't make any noise?
I think so. I think there's also something to do with how much vegetation they have down there. Like I was thinking about this a lot. It's like, are they super quiet, or can I just not hear the amount of land like I'm used to hearing? Well, I know that's the case because I'm used to getting up on a high point and calling down into multiple valleys, and there's none of that. But there's also like the most vegetation I've ever seen in my life down there, and I wonder how much that absorbs sound.
A lot.
So talk a little bit about your like normal turkey hunting strategy, and then like, back to what you were just saying. High point, valleys, what are you saying there?
I'm basically just trying to find a place where I can call to the most country and have, like, I say like fresh air, like just air that isn't getting obstructed by a bunch of vegetation and stuff. Just hear literally as much country as possible.
And you're trying to shot gobble them, or you're trying to hen call them and get them to answer?
It just depends on the time, the time of day.
Which can be kind of the same thing too, I guess.
Yeah.
But
so
this isn't off the roost. You're doing that. That's on the ground.
I mean, I'm a pretty opportunistic kind of guy. So if they're on the roost, I'll definitely be aggressive and go make a play. But that's only so much of the day.
Is there a way to know that a turkey is on a roost for sure when you hit?
Asking me?
Yep.
I don't think so.
I don't think there is either. I mean, the only way I would know is like if it's early and he's not moving after 5 minutes, then there's a pretty good chance he's still on the roost.
I usually just it depends on the time of day for me when I think if they're on the roost or not. That's it.
I try to base it off my chicken movement.
It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
It really
pretty
is.
Similar.
I haven't had a lot of experience with turkeys off the roost, but it seems like they go like when they fly down, they have an idea what they're about to do, so they're pretty quiet right after they fly down.
There's some new listeners that have recently discovered us for some obvious reasons, but we actually live in one of the few places in the United States of America that does not have turkeys. We are in a very small strip between what our Department of Wildlife calls Easterns and Rio Grande turkey distribution. And so we sit right in between basically a major highway system that's kind of the delineator. But to our west is the DFW Metroplex, one of the largest cities in the world. And but from there east until east of us, there's a little ways. There are like no turkeys. I've lived here 30 years and haven't seen a turkey.
Really low opportunity as far as public access goes too. So, like, yeah, there's turkeys 2 hours east of us, but feasibly going and hunting them is pretty tough.
Yeah, they're just they're public land ghosts.
We just haven't grown up with a lot of opportunity on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of so what I'm kind of laying out here is that Casey and I neither are turkey experts. We've killed some. I've killed, several. I don't know. I probably killed a dozen turkeys. Not like a bunch, but I've been a lot. We just have to go somewhere to do it. But we're not by any means like the guys that spent time calling them too much when we were young or learning that whole deal. It wasn't like a thing every spring that we could just go do in the afternoons every once in a while. I mean, you had to make a trip, and it was like one turkey trip a year, So something I definitely like and want to do more of, but we are definitely deer guys pretty through and through.
There's also 10-pound bass in the lakes around here.
Yeah, so springtime has other implications for us usually.
That's it, man.
So that's why we're kind of talking to Michael. He's spent some time doing it.
I'm not going to say I'm an expert at all, but I enjoy turkey hunting.
You've done
a
it.
lot.
You've hunted Easterns. You've hunted different type of country than we have. How
many turkeys have you killed?
I've killed 3 public turkeys, and then before that, I would shoot any turkey that came in during deer season.
Yeah,
with a bow.
Just 3 public. Have I killed a public land turkey? I don't think I've killed a public land turkey.
I don't think I have either.
No, I haven't.
Why would you?
It's fun.
Just go kill them on private, man.
That's it. If I had the chance, well, that's it. That's the thing is I'm just trying to figure out like where have I turkey hunted.
For us in Texas, you just got to travel so far to get public turkeys for us where we're at. So, what about you? You kill any turkeys?
Eric's here, by the way.
Yep, surprise.
Eric.
No, I have not. Hopefully that changes though.
They're tasty.
You're going to hunt with this turkey guy.
Yeah, Eric and Michael are going to spend some time. Actually, Michael is kind of our turkey guy this year. He's going to spend a lot of time in the turkey woods, including this week coming up, leaving here in just a little bit. And then going with Eric, and y'all are going to make a big long leg of a trip down and out back to your home neck of the woods kind of stuff.
I'm pumped.
There's some turkeys that are going to go down, I feel like, on video this year. But
it's pretty exciting because I feel like y'all are going to go get all brushed up on your skills, and then Tyler and I get to join in May and just go shoot some.
I love fully guided hunts, man.
Dude, let's go.
But anyway, so we started the whole deal this year with sending Michael to Florida. So how long did it take you to get there? You drove
16 hours.
16 hours.
Man.
No.
How many tanks of gas?
3.
Dang.
To get out there?
Yeah.
And so,
Honda, man.
3 stops there, 3 stops back.
So you didn't stop to use the bathroom or anything outside of that?
Just when I'm
Tough, man.
Same
tough
thing
guy.
going to Ohio.
Golly.
Which it's a little sketchy sometimes when you're drinking Celsius because those things will get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drink Mio with water in the morning, and it's not good for that kind of thing, for sure. But so we sent you out there, and you're pretty much going to a place you've never been. Have you ever been to Florida, period?
When I was a kid, I went to Disney World.
Oh, there you go. So
actually, I had a baseball tournament in Florida once, too.
There you go. So you've been a couple times, but definitely not a culture or an environment that you are very familiar with.
No.
And so there had to have been things, like you said earlier, might have mentioned, that things that were a challenge for you, things that were just kind of threw you off or surprised you. And I guess we'll start with the fact that, like, there's probably a language barrier because we sent you out there to. The idea was that you would get permission to hunt turkeys. Yep. We did not want you really hanging out on public, and you didn't want to either.
Want to at
so
all.
there was no want in this crew of let's go do the public land thing, right?
Right.
If we're going to be, driving to Florida, we're not going to be hunting public unless we have to. So with that said, we sent you out there and we said, hey, here's a little bit of cash. See if you can, get permission. And if people are weird about it, but you think they're close, give them a couple $100, whatever. See if that can work. Well, couldn't quite pull it off. I guess you actually had permission to hunt, right?
Yeah.
But the filming thing is actually the issue in this case, right? So getting somebody to let you film on their land, it doesn't matter. It's weird. It doesn't matter if you tell people, hey, I'm not going to get anything of you or no barns or houses or nothing, but they still just don't want to do it,
Yep. That hurt. It definitely hurt. I would have loved to go hunt that property. It was a super nice piece of property. And the guy, he really didn't even want that much money. He just, for whatever reason, was not wanting me to film there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole reason I'm there.
Yeah.
It's sad, dude. Gosh.
What did you ever get into a situation where you're like, this is sketch, man?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
What? Tell me some of those.
The first night I showed up to my Airbnb, just staying in some guy's backyard in his tiny home.
Yeah.
But turned out to be a nice guy, and it was a nice place. Good enough for me.
Was it a nice area?
Not the nicest. I definitely wouldn't say very nice. I mean, it's $40.
Yeah.
Were there any turkeys there?
No, there were not.
In the city? Were you like in a city, urban?
Not a city.
Not
but
really. Just kind of.
like a little town.
Yeah. Man.
These
What
flies.
else? Anything else? I know the flies are breeding today for
Getting
some
after
reason.
it.
Are you old enough to remember the bath salts incidents in Florida?
The guy eating the other guy's face.
Yeah.
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 That's one of my earliest memories.
How about that?
Yep.
That's funny.
I don't remember
It's like
that.
6
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I was wondering, did you ever find anybody who was, experimenting with the sodium chloride or whatever it may be?
I don't think so.
That's good.
I try to stay away from the areas where I think that might be going down.
Yeah. So what was the biggest cultural hurdle that you had to overcome while you're down there?
I think for the permission wise, a lot of people, like I look pretty young. Like I'm 23. I think a lot of people look at me and they're just like, no, dude, like you're going to be doing something.
They should have saw you when you were
weird.
22.
I mean, I grew the goatee out trying to look a little older, but it didn't work.
It didn't work? Man.
I think they just look at a young kid and they just think I'm going to be up to some shenanigans.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you can't really knock a lot of doors in the South is what I really realized.
People
because
spread out behind big gates and
behind
stuff.
gates, like you got to catch them while they're at their gate. And if you're doing that, they like get real like defensive and they're like, who is this kid coming up to me?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then when you try to call with a phone number that says Columbus, Ohio, it's like, I'm not answering this.
Sales
like,
pitch. Yep.
As you know, the Meat Eater live tour is on April 23rd through May 5th. Chances are in a town near you. What you may not know is you can win tickets to each of these events just by going to a backcountry hunters and anglers pint night. There's going to be a pint night in each of these towns: San Diego, Salt Lake City, Tempe, Anaheim, Boise, Sacramento, Missoula, Portland, Tacoma, where you can compete in Meat Eater trivia and win not only tickets to the show, but a chance to be on stage with all of us. So get your butt to a pint night, and we'll see you on stage.
So,
Isn't there a thing, this might be too much of a secret to give out to people, but isn't there a thing you can do where you can make your number local or something like that? You can,
I don't know.
I think
it or
Cynthia
something?
I mean,
Bishop knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. You used to get like Star 69 or something, right?
I think it just like doesn't show where you're at or something.
I think it was
maybe.
Star 67 or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's close enough.
So, did you ever have an issue where like you were talking to somebody and you could tell that it was just the fact that you were from the north?
No. No, there was a couple incidences where I got the 5th degree or whatever they call it for being a hunter and wanting to hunt on their land, but we
Some
don't really
ragers.
need to get into that.
Or people
you know?
Activists?
A couple New Yorkers that I didn't
Snowbirding in
realize were
Florida.
New Yorkers. And
Yeah, it's
they
like- it's
got
weird.
Y'all couldn't
after it.
connect, man?
No, they got after me.
Those.
So were they
that
mad
drives
that
me-
you're a hunter or what?
They were basically just like, we have a bunch of cows, and they would be placed in grave danger if you shot off a gun on our property. And it's like,
So,
oh.
do they not like hunters, or are they worried about your
youthfulness.
rogue?
I think
rogue.
I think those people did not want hunters.
Yeah.
I think most of them just.
But I mean, do they not like hunters,
Oh, no,
or
I don't think
do they
so.
just not want you to accidentally shoot a cow for real?
I think they just didn't like hunters. I mean, I came up in camo, and she was irate when I first.
Oh yeah.
So.
I was like,
So that's something to talk
but
about.
That is something to talk about. It's so stupid. Why do you have cows? You know what I mean?
That wasn't what I was talking
I
about,
wasn't
but-
going to get into this argument with
Why
her.
do you
but-
have cows?
It's good. If you got cows, they're gonna die because people gonna eat them.
That's right. Or they're going to eat the milk.
Yeah.
But those aren't dairy cows there, aren't they?
I have no idea.
I imagine not.
I'm not a cow
Were they
man.
black and white, or were they
Oh,
browns?
no, they were brown.
Yeah, they're meat cows. More than likely, right?
I'd say.
Is
Florida
that-
doesn't
is
seem
that
like
how
it
that
How
was.
do you
country.
think we get a daggum hamburger on our plate, man?
I don't know.
Just drives me
You
bananas.
just- with a New Yorker, you have to be like, how do you think you get that pepperoni on your pizza?
I mean, she made me sign like a whole thing saying that I will not go on her property and everything.
oh, I wouldn't have done that.
Oh, I
wouldn't
did.
either.
You signed it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I wanted to be a good representation.
You're not.
Oh
Wait
my
a second.
goodness!
So you signed something just saying that you weren't going to trespass on
yeah,
somebody's
she
place?
was really angry. So I was like, I'm just going to try to de-escalate this
Well,
situation.
way to go,
and-
Michael.
I mean, it worked. She wasn't very angry after that.
Yeah.
She told me to have a good day, so it worked.
Oh,
Man,
That's
you're a
weird.
nice guy. I would have been just turning my back.
Kites would be flying, dude. Just like,
Yeah.
see ya.
Yeah,
Yeah. Man, that's weird.
yeah.
How much
weird
information did you give those people?
Not a lot.
Did you sign your real name?
They just asked for social security.
I mean, it
number.
was kind of just like an M and a scribble, but
Yeah. She didn't know about Tristan?
No.
Okay.
Nah, she doesn't.
She got
know
your
that.
fingerprint though.
So, how did you find those people?
You signed a thing saying
Listen,
you want trespass.
listen. She wanted me to. I said, okay. I read
I
the whole
mean,
thing.
I don't know the situation, so I can't just completely criticize. I guess.
I also, you never know when they're going to talk to a neighbor, and
Yeah.
I called everybody in that area. So,
Because that's where the turkeys were?
oh, there were turkeys everywhere on private. Like you hear about there not being a lot of Osceolas. That is bullcorn. There were turkeys around for sure.
So, but how did you find those New York people? Did you go knock on their door?
That
call
instance,
them?
yeah, I did. I
Okay.
knocked on the door, but I did a lot of calling around and everything. Like every possible way I could think of to get permission, I did. Which
Except actually putting the money in
Except for
somebody's
marrying
hand.
somebody.
which really hurt. Hey, there are a couple
So,
Mormons that
You it didn't go well,
Weird.
and you had on camo.
I took it off the second day. That was
Yeah, do
that
you
was-
think that there's something to that? Like,
Maybe.
don't look like a hunter?
maybe, but who knows?
But
I think
he don't
I
have no
think-
nice clothes, so
Yeah,
I know,
look
dude.
at-
Those sweatpants guys
it's
are
like
the
you
worst
can either look
thing
like
you've
a drug
ever
addict
seen.
or you can look like a hunter.
Golly,
One or the
dude.
other.
those are the two options.
Borrow my
Nothing
dad's
else.
socks. I mean, it's bad.
Hey, these are nice socks.
Man, you should have
I paid good money for these.
taken
things.
some of that cash and bought some pants.
Yeah.
No,
Some joggers.
You should have been wearing them shorts down there, getting them legs tan.
I did one day, and
Scary.
they got burnt.
Yeah.
Golly.
So how
Look at
many
that farmer's stand I got
Dude,
going
that's
on.
nice, man.
how many people did you talk to in person?
Probably 10 to 15.
What was the most receptive thing that you found people liked about you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. There was not a thing they were like, oh, yeah, okay. You said one guy gave you permission to hunt.
Yeah, one guy.
Why did he give you permission
There
to
were
hunt?
a couple people that like actually somewhat thought about it. Like there were a lot of people that were. It's like a family ordeal down there. It seems like so they have to go ask their family, or they told me they have to go ask their family, and then it just didn't ever. Like a couple people just didn't respond. A couple people said no. A couple people just.
So, but
gave
the
me the
guy
fifth degree.
who was going to let you hunt
Yeah,
did because why?
I don't know. Good guy, real nice guy.
Well, so
He's
most
seen-
people aren't going to run in the hurdle of the video thing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not what most people are doing. So, like, you know, from a normal just hunting standpoint, what was the approach that was like convincing to people?
I don't know.
I didn't change it at all. It was all the same thing.
I
every time?
basically, I would change it from situation to situation. Just try to be like, I don't really want to just go up to somebody and just be like, hey, can I hunt your property?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
like kind of like, feel them out and then try to pop it in the most nonchalant way, which
Pop
is
it. Explain pop it for me.
pop the question.
Oh, pop the question.
Pop the question.
You
Like-
ask people
like a
to be-
marriage.
yeah,
Like a marriage.
I got you. Maybe the ring wasn't good enough.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like it is. Listen, just because
Like a tart, you're saying?
Huh?
A Pop Tart.
I do like Pop-Tarts. I had a couple Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Hey, it didn't sound that weird to me when you said it. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's because one of you guys is like hip,
Yeah, that's it. So, you had people who thought about it for a little bit and then told you no?
Yeah. Well, usually it seemed like they were okay with it, and then they'd go talk to somebody else who has their name on the property, and it was usually a no.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how that could be the case.
I also went into a couple real big corporations that just had hunting leases filled up for the year.
How can you get in on that lease? Just wait until they
Be quicker.
re-up? Mm-hmm. So, do you know when that is? We'll say
I
that
can
off
find
air.
out real quick.
Good.
So you have some contacts and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if you wanted to kill a bird next year,
Oh, yeah.
you feel...
We could all go kill a bird.
Well, you said that before you left this.
No, I didn't. No, I did not. Don't play this game. We could all go kill a bird next year.
Sound like Brian.
There are multiple properties that we could get permission on. And I also wondered how much, like, doing it, like, trying to get permission for that day affected it.
Yeah,
like,
it's
if I was
Kind of puts them on the spot.
a couple weeks before, a couple months before, and I, like, offered to help out around the farm or something, like, would people be more willing to give me permission?
Yeah.
So,
You know, this is kind of a weird deal. Maybe I'm a little bit privileged. But, like, I'm fine with the the working for permission thing or whatever. I've done a little bit of it,
Yep.
But it's kind of a shame that you almost feel like you have to do that every time. Like somebody won't let you hunt. And I guess I'm being hypocritical because I don't really want somebody hunting my property either. But I'm a hunter. So I will be out there. My kids will be out there, And it's just kind of weird that, I don't know, that we've got to a point where either the perception of hunting is low enough to where people don't let you go, or it's the inverse that it's just maybe it's so commercialized that everybody, like you said,
I feel like that's a little more of it.
it's a money thing.
I think it's a money thing. I think people just know now. They just know that.
Well,
people
especially
pay.
for a that's a coveted animal, like the Osceola thing. It's kind of like how I mean, this is kind of a turkey thing, right? But like the Goulds is kind of has like a gatekeeping thing, and gatekeeping isn't always like as negative a connotation as what you think it might be. But there's just like a firewall or whatever that you have to get past. Osceola is the same thing. People know that, hey, people want this for a specific reason, and so we're gonna not really be about that. The West is a good example of this, where some states mule deer are highly valued, and then whitetails not at all. So I haven't had the experience, but I have friends who have had this, where if you ask for whitetail only permission to hunt a place, they say, "Oh yeah, no big deal," whereas the mule deer, they're like really into it. So maybe you should have told those people that you're only going to shoot the eastern birds. You're not going to shoot those Osceolas.
Hey, prove it's an eastern.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Prove it.
Yeah.
I mean, KC doesn't even think these things are actually different than an eastern, right?
Well, I guarantee you this. So if an Osceola and an eastern got tangled up while they were smiling, they would probably still spit out a viable offspring. So
Yeah, there are those.
well, it's funny because these things like this that happen where, and I think the turkey truly is subspecies, right? It's the turkey is just an American turkey, and then the only true species that's different is the ocellated, but which is up for debate. According depends how you spell it, right, Tyler? Anyways, mule deer and black-tailed deer are like this, and I think Osceolas and eastern are like this, where it's a imaginary line that humans have drawn that separate them. Like it's like I-70 or something like that for mule deer and black-tailed. You know what I'm talking about? There's like an interstate where if you kill something north of it, it's a black-tail. You kill something south of it, it's a mule deer.
Interesting.
And Osceolas is the same way, right?
It's basically if it's in the peninsula of Florida, they say it's an Osceola.
Really?
But
So there's a line.
obviously that's not the case. Like there's going to be hybrids. I feel like it's more like a gradual shift down to it because there's no way it's just the peninsula starts, Osceolas start. But
Do they look different?
oh yeah,
Really?
oh yeah,
What was so different about them?
they're just way darker and way smaller. Not way smaller, smaller for sure.
Here's the thing, guys.
What's the thing, Tyler?
I don't want to hear this.
These human delineators that we have, like roads, highways, peninsulas, rivers, they actually, and state lines, these things are oftentimes actually built because of geography or environmental differences. So, I'm not saying that an Osceola and an Eastern is different necessarily. But I'm saying that a lot of times there's a difference because of a mountain range or something like that. Or they're like, a state line is a river. And so things are just different on the other side or whatever. It's higher elevation, whatever it might be. I think about this because when you think about, Casey and I spend a lot of time every year looking through statistics about like units out west, and you see a unit that's right next to like just the baddest unit in the whole state for elk or deer or whatever, and you're like, oh man, they got to be in there too, right? You just hunt out there on the border, right? And it does work sometimes, and you see where that works, and you see where it could work, but at the end of the day, most of the time, the reason that there's more tags in that other unit or that less people apply for it is because truly the deer don't go over that mountain range because it's drier over there and the clouds always build up on this side of the mountain and fall out on that side or whatever, So there are things that certainly play into all this, and a lot of these places and state lines and highways and all this are developed along geographical differences. So I tend to think that like potentially there's definitely differences in wildlife, as you and I know, traveling across the country. The deer that I shot in South Texas last year was so much tinier than the deer that I shot at in South Dakota. You know what I mean? Or the deer that Hunter shot in South Dakota. I mean, it's just
Yeah, sure. I mean, they all
so
change
different,
a lot,
you know what
for
I mean?
sure.
So,
but is that it's fun to do fun things, and chasing a slam or whatever lets you do a fun thing. And so I'm all about, like, I was excited that Michael had the potential to kill the Grand Slam or whatever it's called for turkeys, right?
yeah.
But is it if you're going to go down the road you're going down, how many other times have we not recognized the difference? Like, is the Eastern in Maine really going to be the same thing as the Eastern in Tennessee?
I don't think so.
I would think it would be more different than the Osceola in the Eastern Tennessee.
Yeah.
But it's not lined out that way.
You'd have to talk a little more to some biologists to understand why, maybe, and they still might not be able to provide very good evidence. But I like the thought of whatever it is that makes animals in the same species different than each other, or even like we talked about with a few weeks back with mule deer and whitetails being like having viable offspring, but also looking so different from each other. You know what I mean? It's weird. Like to Missy New Yorker, she could see a mule deer and a whitetail buck if they look, same size, and she would just be like deer, and that she really wouldn't even spend 2 seconds seeing the difference in them. Yep. But for me, I'm like, oh, look at the black brow on that thing, and like the tail's white, and it's just different, and ears are giant, forks in the antlers. Like, it's just cool that they're different, even though technically they have viable offspring. It's just cool. I like the differences in the animals, and there's something that makes a difference. There's something that makes a Carmen Mountain whitetail way smaller than a Dakota whitetail. What is it? I mean, southern latitude more than anything, probably.
It's just genetic variation.
Yeah, it's cool though. Yeah, I like that stuff. I like all the cutthroat species for those reasons. I like to chase those too. And it is one of those things where like part of it is chasing them and seeing them be different. At the end of the day, like a big part of what we do and running all over the U.S. and doing stuff. I mean, we could kill quite a few deer if we stayed pretty close to home. But a big part of what we do is adventure and explore,
Yeah.
It's just cool to see different things.
We were just talking about that with buck truck stuff, where it's like all these deer could breed the does in that area, at least, because that's how it works. And so what makes the experience different? And the difference is where you kill it at. A while ago, we were talking about the buck truck series and how much different the locations were that we killed deer, but they're all the same deer. So it's the locations are cool. That's one of the things that makes it a lot of fun.
You go to Arkansas and the deer are like black sometimes. So they're different.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not. That's what's another interesting thing is that it's not as gradual as you'd think. It's like a grid almost where this stuff kind of touches. Some of those places that we hunt that's like the border between the Midwest and the Plains, you got some real Midwest looking ones, and then you got some real Plainsy looking ones.
Yeah.
And it's not just all of them, they are just perfect mixtures.
Yeah.
They're just kind of the back and forth.
But I'm just saying, like, there's certainly differences in the animal too. I mean, if you were to go to Mississippi, that deer looks like some of the deer you see in Arkansas, which looks like way different than a Kansas deer or whatever, And so that's what I love. I like the places too. I like it all. I mean, the reason that I go out and I adventure is because of the places, but it's also because of the deer, the birds, the things that we don't get to see at home, man, that are, for some reason the habitat or the climate just suits them in other places, And so I got us on a big tangent here, but like, I just think that, I was just playing the flip side of the coin that basically like those Osceolas and Easterns in Florida are like I don't know the difference. I hadn't tried to compare them.
You could tell a difference.
I could if I compared them, I'm sure, but like I haven't looked at a picture of one beside the other necessarily. But there sometimes is a highway or a state line that is a delineator in between subspecies or whatever, because it truly is water that flows a different direction or whatever it is, So just thinking about that kind of thing. Just giving an excuse to the people in the biology departments that probably don't need an excuse, but that set up, there has to be a line at some point to manage game, So where is that? We've got to make something up.
That's it. I mean, there definitely is a difference between like northern Florida and then where the peninsula starts habitat-wise. Like North Florida is more like high pine country, and then you get down into the swamps the further south you go. So,
and there's a lot of ag in North Florida. like grain. I mean, well, I shouldn't say ag because there's a lot of ag south, but like corn,
Yeah,
beans, that kind of stuff is in Florida, right?
Yeah, and then the further south you go, it seems like the more like citrus type stuff that's going on.
You saw orchards and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never saw any turkeys out in them.
Why didn't I think
Somebody
to get you to
last
bring
year-
some citrus back, man?
Somebody last year was killing
everywhere.
turkeys in a citrus orchard.
I
that
wanted
watched.
to so bad, but I just couldn't see turkeys being out in them. They got to go a long way usually to get out in to where I could see. But I'm sure they go out there. It's food.
So, so you decided at one point you couldn't get permission,
Yep.
and you started to run into this deal where you're like, man, I hadn't even hunted, and I've been here like a week or whatever, and you thought, well, might as well try to get on a bird and head out to the public ground.
Yep.
And you encountered a bunch of guys out there along the way. Decided you needed to be pretty far back.
Which didn't even work, but
Which still didn't work. But this country is palmettos and what?
just cypress swamps. I mean, it's like a mixture of palmetto flats with just select cut pines everywhere, and then just the nastiest swamps you could dream of.
So, could you see the swamps when you're looking on the map and scouting this stuff out?
I used the wetlands layer usually.
Oh,
on
let me turn that on. I'm on the map right now.
Yeah.
And so
I'm interested in this.
Did it work well?
Yeah.
Worked really
usually.
well?
It's a lot drier there than I feel like it usually is.
Mm-hmm.
But
once you know that, you can work the edges of those swamps
exactly.
better.
And once you see like what one wetlands looks like compared to a different one on the map, you can pretty
What is
much
that? Is that in trees, crops, and cover?
Yeah.
And so when you had to map out your whole course in there really well every day because of swamps?
The first day I didn't. The first day I thought I could just, find a way, and you just cross swamp after swamp, and then you don't really want to just walk around on your phone just like looking to go around, but then you get spun around and it's like, well, you got to find a better way to get in.
Dude, I bet before online mapping, them places were a wild country.
I can't even imagine
Dude,
trying to go in there.
I bet it would be terrible.
It'd be terrible, dude.
I mean, it wasn't the most fun with on it.
Yeah. So most of the swamps, could you just cross in knee highs?
Most of them, yeah.
Really?
And if you couldn't, there's a lay down log or something you can go across.
So
almost always.
What was the lowest temp there and the highest temp?
It got pretty cold, honestly. There was one day that a high was like 69. That was the coldest day.
What was the low?
It's like 60. So it was just pretty
temperate.
Yeah. But that was the most action I saw of any day.
Really?
Yeah.
And then high was what?
95.
So
In a swamp, if anybody's not been in a swamp when it's 95, it's not fun.
it's the worst.
It's
Any ticks?
a couple at the end when
Yeah.
it started to stay hot.
Yeah. What other creepy crawlies were around?
Everything you could imagine. A lot of spiders, a lot of snakes, a lot of alligators. I almost said crocodiles. That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah, there are saltwater crocs in Florida, I think, though.
I didn't
Stone likes
see
to
any
call
of
them
those.
So, did you see any snakes that you assumed were not a water moccasin?
No.
Everything you saw looked like a water moccasin.
I only saw a couple snakes, and there was only one in the swamp. That was.
Did you document these snakes? Is there video evidence of the snake?
There's one video evidence of one snake, but not the snake.
Okay.
What's the snake?
So the same swamp I'm talking about, it's actually like just a mile long of wetlands, and that was the day I mapped it out better, but still had to go across like two big marshes, and it's just like literally cypress stumps and like hollowed out logs everywhere. So like in a perfect world, you want to like, I don't know, pick up a stick or something and check everything. But I'm trying to go hunt turkey. I'm not sitting here trying to like take 6 hours to get back in there.
That's why you didn't take Eric, right?
Yeah, he would have been scared for sure. So I'm hoofing it. At one point I got my foot stuck in 2 different cypress swamps, fell, almost ate a cypress stump.
Oh.
I mean, I was
Did you eat
moving.
water?
Oh, yeah, I got wet.
Really?
For sure.
Camera?
Eric's, no.
Oh, you didn't just dive vomit into the mud?
No, there's something that you,
Oh, man.
there's something you learn when you're not the most athletic person that you can turn
your
out
body.
of a fall.
Yeah, it's kind of like receivers and not trapping the football when they fall.
I mean, I learned it from snowboarding and sucking at snowboarding.
What
but
if you
yeah.
are athletic? Should you just dump it into the mud?
I mean, I wouldn't do that, I don't think. I think I'd probably just catch myself or something.
yeah.
But, to
Well,
each their
you
own.
never know when you just die in the air and go stone cold.
You never know.
Anyway, so you're going through the swamp.
I'm going through the swamp, falling, and sweating like crazy. I mean, I wrung my shirt out. I was sweating so bad.
Wow.
It was, and I'm not like a super sweater in that
I bet
sense.
you're hungry, dude.
But, oh yeah, my appetite is through the roof right now. But anyway, so I'm hoofing it through, and I step over this log, and there's a hollowed out log next to it, and I just feel like something hit my calf. And I'm like, well, I hope it didn't go through, because I knew exactly when it happened what it was. And I just see this big fat black snake go into the water, and I'm like, I basically just I get on the other side of the marsh, because it's basically where I wanted to be, and I just sit down, and I'm just like, well, let's check. Let's see what happened. And luckily, Lacrosse makes some snake boots that are all right. And it didn't get through. But
That's wild.
And this is
Did
the thing you just posted the picture about.
yes.
Did
How
you
much of that hole,
Yeah.
is from the snake?
I think it ripped some. It's not obviously the whole thing wasn't a fang or whatever you call it.
Dude. I would have jumped into the cypress tree, man.
And then there's also probably some tearing that happened later from palmettos catching it or whatever. But for the most part, that's what it looked like right when it happened.
So did you see how deep it went?
Wait.
There's an inner shell in the snake proof boot, I guess. So it just, once it hits that, it's not going through, I guess.
I don't know the
You
science
didn't
behind
search
it.
around to see how far it went in.
I was literally took everything off, put the camera down, and
Ran.
I just have,
Cried.
I took my hat off, my hair's just full poof. I'm just I look like a joke.
Very normal.
You expected people to give you permission looking like that?
Well,
Dang,
no,
bro.
I looked a lot better. That was after a 2-mile hike through the swamps in 90-degree weather.
Did you just sit there and just think about life for a while?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I was like, that was if we're going to say there was one time where I was like, what am I doing? That was it.
Yeah.
That was
I
the
believe
time.
it. I would have been too. Walking around the swamp by yourself. If that would have gone through your boot, you would literally die, dude.
Oh, yeah,
You're
no,
dead.
I'm toast.
Dead.
I had no service. I'm back in it.
Does your mom know about this?
No, she does
Good.
not. Why would I tell my mom
Golly,
about
dude.
that?
Yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't listen. I don't think she will.
No, she don't like me,
She
probably.
tuned out last time.
Yeah, probably.
She actually tuned out when I went on talking about I-70 just a second ago for 10 minutes. Man, that's and you didn't tell nobody
I
till
couldn't.
you got back.
Yeah, I couldn't.
No, but
didn't
you
have
could have
service.
told me at some point in the last few
Oh,
days.
well, no. Well, I knew we were going to do a podcast about this, so it's
Yeah.
You sent me pictures of gators.
It's
I
about
didn't know
being a
anything about
showman.
snakes.
Yeah, how many gators did you see?
I saw 2 gators,
That's it.
but I saw a lot of gator tracks that at first I didn't really understand was a gator track. It's
funny.
It's like, who's walking around on their hands out here? And then it's like, oh, I walked 5 yards further and I'm like, that's a gator for sure. I mean, I don't know what else it could be. And as I'm doing an interview at one of the points when I realize it's a gator, there's a tiny little bird in the bushes that makes a little bit of noise, and I jump out of my boots. I'm like, oh, this is it.
You know what those are
I'm
called
dying.
in the birding world?
What?
LBBs.
Oh, yeah.
Little brown birds.
Gotcha. Well, it was black, but yeah, same thing.
Dude, so You only saw 2 gators, though.
Yeah.
And did you ever feel when you're going through a swamp like you're just going to get attacked all of a sudden?
Nah.
No? You felt like it was clear, you could see real well, and
Yeah, I was ready to fight a gator.
Hey, what is this
For an
white
Osceola.
thing?
you didn't think that like
No, I 100% did.
Oh, you
I was the first couple days walking through the swamp because in Ohio it's like there's not going to be a turkey just standing in standing water. Like you don't. It's the same thing like in Arkansas. We were like the deer aren't just going to go sit out there in the middle of the swamp.
Right.
But then you talk to the locals and it's like they don't care at all. They're used to it. So then that's when I started targeting the marshes and everything. And it's like, well, you're either going to just be a wimp and you're not going to hunt, or you're going to hunt somewhere that there's not a lot of birds. You might kill a bird, but it's just going to be very providential, as we say around
That's
here.
right.
And so it's either get in the swamp and think about it but not really care, or just give up.
the 2
basically.
gators you saw, how close were you to getting eaten by them?
Oh, not close at all.
No?
They're just out in the middle, just like a river. Like I don't know if it's a river or a creek, but it's something I wasn't about to cross.
What is that thing on that stump right there? That white thing. Well, you sent me this.
I have no idea.
It looks like it's a.
You think there's a gator in the middle of the water. You think I'm looking at this
Well, it looks like
stump
a
right here?
Swiffer or a head sitting on a stump. Or you got like a park or something right there.
That's where a lot of the guys who do water access, that's where they enter from.
How big was the biggest gator?
I don't know, like 4 foot.
Oh, they weren't big.
No, they were
Good.
10 footers.
Should have cooked them up and ate them, dude, while you're
I
out
don't
there.
think they would have liked that very much. I think
Florida Gators would have got mad.
yeah.
University.
Yeah, the University of Florida.
What's the quota on gator tags down there? Can you get one pretty easy?
I have no idea. I wasn't really paying attention to the gator tags, to be honest.
And gators are weird, man. I feel like I really want to hunt one, but then people just go and like pay for kind of cheap hunts for gators. But maybe I'm wrong on
Hit
that.
up the swamp people. That old show.
I should.
The Gator Boys.
Old show. Old
Bayou
Crow show.
Labatry. Troy.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
So
Jim Libby.
would you? What would you go do that? What you just did again?
100%.
You would.
No hesitation.
Really?
I think I'd take a little bit different approach.
I would not like it. I don't think.
Oh, you wouldn't. You wouldn't 100%. But I've been told I'm
lots
crazy.
of definites around here.
I speak in absolutes. You know? I'm a Sith. So
Like I just don't. I just know. There's been no point in my life that I think I would like to do that. I mean, I would like to hunt an Osceola. I just would not like to walk through the swamps for miles trying to shoot one.
teach their own, I suppose.
Yeah. I wouldn't even want to shoot a deer for that, I don't think.
There are more deer than you would think in Florida.
Really?
For sure.
Any bucks? Any sheds?
I did not see any sheds. I saw a couple bucks. Tiny Tims, though.
Yeah, I imagine they are.
But
See spikes?
Key deer.
I don't want to talk about this.
When's the rut in Florida? Isn't it like,
It's like
Depends on where
early,
you
isn't
at.
Yeah.
It gets weird.
August, I think.
Yeah, I thought it
Some
was
of
like
that
in
stuff.
August.
It's weird. Like people go early for that.
All right, so we're going to.
No, absolutely
whitetail
not, dude.
hunt.
Remember
Let's go.
Oh, you didn't listen last podcast.
No, I listened.
Yeah.
No, I
I'd
listened.
rather
don't
hunt
worry.
0 than 90 for sure, dude. Yeah.
100%.
So I'm probably going to Canada that time of year if I'm going anywhere. KC, you and I spent some time hog hunting while he was down doing that.
Hunting.
Hogs are just not easy with a bow, man.
They aren't, man. They kind of are with a gun. Like with a rifle. You can, if you have a place with hogs on it, you can expect to kill one.
Yeah, is that just everything though?
No, I don't.
Because
think
if you
so.
pay $5,000 for an Osceola, you can shoot one pretty much guaranteed too, right?
I mean, I've been on some rifle elk hunts where you don't kill elk for sure.
did you pay for it?
No, but we ain't paying for hog hunts either.
Well, you would if you had the right property, maybe.
I don't know.
That's what I'm just saying is like, if you had the right property,
Brian
everything is much easier.
right? Brian does it right. Javelina though.
Yeah.
Well, that's with bows, but
it's a bow.
and that you can go both ways with that too. If you have the right property with bows, it gets a little easier too.
Yeah, it's true.
So it just kind of depends on the situation.
But still, there is a thing where you can shoot a hog with a bow and then just take it.
Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah.
Even like the not tough ones are tough.
Yeah.
And I don't mean tough like tough to get a shot at. I mean tough as in like dying.
Yeah. Carry your arrow for miles. So we've been doing some hog hunting because it's fun and the weather's been pretty nice here. We've had nice sunny days but cool mornings. So it's been pretty fun. We've got some pigs hanging out in a couple places we got permission to hunt, and we head down to try to shoot some pigs, and we actually end up walking a lot because we've had enough rain that some of this low country that we hunt is super wet right now. So we walk around, and I end up walking into some greenbrier and just getting in, right into the mix, long story short. Me and Eric and you and Greg are kind of a few hundred yards away, lost.
In a place that I think I know. Dude, I got completely turned around. And I still think that, I don't know, I can't tell you what happened because we had the river on our right the whole time. And I ended up like a good quarter mile east to where I thought I ought to be. And I could still see the river. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on.
So
a geographical oddity.
We get into pigs, and they are all up in this greenbrier thicket right in front of us, right? And so we're just sitting there on the downwind side of it, right in the mix. And like I can't get shots. I'm trying to get shots, but there's pigs kind of feeding around, and they just can see silhouettes really well because they kind of have to rely on that the fact that they can see a silhouette, but they can't really see detail very well. And so when they see like a silhouette, they freeze and lock up for a second, give you the side eye. Well, we're sitting there, we can hear them moving all around in there, and I had seen a boar that kind of got weird, and he had gone off to the side. And finally, I'm like, dude, I think they're coming. This whole group of like 20-pounders starts coming through. And when I say that, like they are legit, they're under 10 yards coming through past us, and like I could smoke these things, And so I'm like, man, should I just draw and shoot one of these? And I was like, there's like a brownish golden orange one or whatever, and it's like coming out.
Those are a cool color hog.
They're cool, and it's coming out. I already seen one come out, but this one's coming out behind it through this little tunnel in this greenbrier brush. Well, as soon as it gets right to where I'm like maybe going to draw pretty soon, I see in the back silhouette, and there's a big sow back there. Not a big sow, it's a decent sow, big compared to these. So I was like, all right, I'll just wait on this one. And ends up being two sows. One of them's coming down the middle. The other one pokes her head out of the thicket on the right, my right. Eric's right behind me, and I'm like, we're trying to be real still because as soon as it pokes its head out, it sees our silhouette. I mean, this pig is like 10 or 12 yards, and we're videoing and everything. Well, so when it finally like sits there for a second and relaxes, while this was happening, KC starts owl calling, trying to find me. And when he owl called, all the pigs got real weird and started kind of like slowly working towards me. And then they kind of all like stopped the second time he owl called, and they just froze. All the little piglets were frozen for like a minute, dude.
Which there's a lot of interesting stuff to that. I just wouldn't think that hogs 300 yards away would care about a somewhat natural sounding noise.
I don't know if you're that far. You sounded closer than that.
Well, I could see y'all when you were running. How far were you from the pigs when you were running?
I feel like I ran 200 easy. I was about to pass out, dude.
Well, you're about 250 yards from us when I saw you run.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the owl call sounded about 150 yards from me.
It was there was some dimensional things going on down there.
Yeah. But anyway, you were within a couple hundred yards, but it was a pretty loud sound compared to everything else going on in the woods at that time. So maybe there's that. I don't know. It sounded pretty good. It's not a bad owl call at all, I don't think. But like,
it's just a turkey gobble. That's all I really care.
Well, and it could sound like a coyote. It kind of has that same pitch.
Well, we had just after I owl called, saw you ran, and saw coyotes between me and you.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird to hunt.
I don't know what's going on.
So anyway, the pig sticks her head out, freezes, gives us the side eye at like 10 yards. And then she turns and starts to walk away. And the other one in the tunnel had already had turned around as well. Well, I'm thinking, man, this is my last chance to get a shot at one of these sows because they're getting weird. They're fixing to go on the other side of the thicket, and I cannot get around it and get shots very quickly or easily. And so I draw back when she turns and puts her butt to me. She kind of sees me out of the corner of her eye because she's still got her eye on me. And she starts kind of jogging off, like unsure of what's going on. And I give her like a little kind of noise, like a bark almost more than anything. And she turns broadside and goes into the greenbrier. But I can see her full silhouette right behind this little greenbrier thicket. I know exactly where her shoulder is. I feel like I shoot. And she takes off running and in the open. And like the arrow's sticking out, but it's in a good looking spot. It's just on the other side of her, so I can't tell exactly where it's at. And she takes off running. We take off running. I could have shot another pig probably in there, but I was like, I got one with the arrow in it. It looks good. So we take off, and I go running after her and keep an eye on her for like 200 yards. It's all river bottom, so it's like kind of not much understory throughout. Finally lose her like 200 and wait on KC, or go back and meet KC, mark the spot. And we go to tracking her, and just long story short, tracked her for a long time with decent blood, and just we tracked for a long ways. And she crossed like a flowing river, and at that point we were stuck on our side of the river, and there was just nothing we could really do. So,
and since then, we've had trail camera pictures of that same sounder, and there's been the same 2 sows with it.
So we assume she lived.
Pretty much lived over.
It's weird, dude.
Yeah.
And we found my arrow broken off. So I guess she has a broadhead in her shoulder or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, if that's the same pig. And so I started thinking about this. And this is something that I think we encounter a lot. Eric, you actually shot a boar as well recently and hit high, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's 2 things at play here. Pigs can jump a string about as quick as a deer can do it. I mean, if not, just as quick. And that pig was on edge. The pig you shot at was on edge. They both probably jumped the string to an extent. The pig I shot was probably 20. So still, being on edge can jump the string a little bit and affect that. Secondly, pigs sit so low to the ground that even it's different for a lot of people listening, but we have green up happening here, and grass is legit growing. Like I've got flowers in my pasture and in my front yard until I mowed the other day that were legit 2 foot and have grown from nothing.
Oh yeah,
to 2 foot.
I got some of that henpeck stuff. You know what I'm talking about? It looks kind of like a clover with a little tiny purple flower on it.
Yeah.
That stuff's like 2 foot tall in some places in my yard, and it's just a weed.
Yeah. So the thing is, you see a pig right now. You feel like grass isn't that tall, but it is. And what I don't realize a lot of times, I think, is how low the chest cavity of a hog is sometimes. And I really just think I need to start aiming lower at pigs. You just kind of lose, especially on black pigs, it's just all shadowy under there, and you just don't really realize perspective and perception of how, where that chest cavity is sitting.
The one that I shot on that video that is on YouTube right now is the red. Shot her at probably 15 or 18 yards, pretty close. And she moved before the arrow got there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I hit her high. It was in the lungs, but it was above the halfway line, which is probably too high. I mean, very effective, don't get me wrong, but you're also 2 inches from spine at that point in time, too. So,
and she was, and she didn't see you drawing. She just saw 2 silhouettes there.
Yeah.
So, she was maybe even less spooky than the 2 that Eric and I shot at recently.
Yeah.
So, and she moved. So, I mean, there's definitely something going on there. A couple of things to think about if you're out hunting pigs. But, man, we say it all the time, but this is good stuff. It's teaching us a lot when it comes to shooting deer. It teaches us a lot about how animals can behave and how quickly they can jump strings and how to gain really good perspective on what your actual target is and that kind of thing.
And I'm also very thankful for good rangefinders because there's a system to this where you aim as low as you feel like you can, and there's a real good chance you hit something good. Whereas if you don't get to range something, or you have kind of a junky rangefinder, which I've had a lot of. You're not exactly sure about your range, or it doesn't have angle compensation or whatever. Like the 2 or 3 inches that things could be off, especially shooting a heavier arrow, could make a big difference. You know, you're not shooting as flat. Well, 36 and 34 make a difference. It ain't a lot, but if you're talking about, I mean, deer especially, or small animals, they're not big. You know, like we got some big ones hanging around in here, but, you know, the Texas ones that we hunt a lot, or even most of the pigs we shoot, are under 200 pounds. And you're talking about a vitals area that's smaller than about the size of most computer screens. You know, got some of those sitting around here. Like, if you don't hit right in the middle of that, say you hit up a little bit, or you release up from where you're aiming, and that thing is able to move a few inches.
And you missed the range by 3 yards.
Yeah, you're missing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over. You know, like it does not take much. So being very sure of your range is a pretty big deal. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to take a shot if I don't know the range of something, because I've killed a lot of things without a rangefinder or without getting a range on it. But I am not just, you know, poking in the wind out there, you know, like a good idea of what's going on. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, it is really nice to be able to pop a range on one of those pigs and know exactly how far they are.
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%.
Because they all look the same, too.
Yeah.
No matter if they're 100 pounds or 220 pounds, their shape is the same. So perception, like depth perception, distance is tough on pigs. It's hard to guess how far they are. But whitetail, on the other hand, like most of them are all the same size running around out there. Like, I mean, the does and the bucks are different, but like you're not going to be hunting a whitetail, one of them weighs 100 pounds, the next one weighs 220 pounds in the same place. It's just not how it works, you know. With pigs, on the other hand, it gets tough.
Yeah. They're just such, man, if you don't hit them in a really good spot, they just can go forever. They don't bleed a whole lot. They got mud caked all over them. It absorbs blood too. It's tough. They're a tough animal. So I think we just gain more and more respect for them as we go. It seems like every year, but they are definitely fun to get after.
We found the pig heaven over there looking for your pig. And I actually shaved hair on one. There's 2 big boars that got up, and like we didn't have the ideal camera set up. Now, this is one of those things where y'all going to laugh at us, whatever. We're trying to film stuff, right? We thought, oh, it's going to be cool. We'll bring one long lens and one, like, just general use lens and get some really epic footage. Well, we ended up splitting up trying to track your pig. We weren't but like 60 yards apart, but that left me with Greg, who didn't have the optimal lens for the situation.
Well, he was using the Hubble telescope.
He was. It's a big lens. And so, like, it was just kind of a... If I wanted to kill a pig, I could have shot a pig, but we were trying to get on film. And so, like, I didn't get to take the optimal opportunity.
Big boars, though.
They were big. And they, like, I've seen a lot of hog sign. Okay, and here's something, if you don't hunt hogs, you might not realize. There's rootings, which only tell you so much. And then there are beds and rubs and things like that, which mean the hogs live there. Like, that is where they are all the time. Like, during the day, it's where they're spending time. And that's what we found there. I mean, I found a hog bed that I put my bow in, and you could have, like, laid my bow down, and you could have stretched a bow on each side of it before you touched the edge of it, and then the same way the other direction, too. I mean, the thing was almost the size of a car. It was crazy. So
awesome.
I'm kind of excited to go back in there.
Yeah, me too, man. That's what we're going to be doing the next couple weeks is just turkeys, hogs, maybe a little fishing, but I know you don't like that. It's just fun for me. But anyway, those are some of the things we're going to be doing. We've got some videos coming up on the channel. One is about very, very fast bows. So if you like that kind of thing, it's an archery thing. We did a lot of testing recently, and I hope that you guys enjoy that video. So be looking for it on the channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are. 40,000 of you are now. That's pretty nice. It's pretty cool. I kind of feel a little bit like I'm living in a dream now because it just seems like a very large number that I thought I almost would never get to for forever. But thank you guys for the support. Thanks for listening to the podcast and subscribing and listening to everything that we do along the way. And remember, this is your element.
Living it.
As you know, the Meat Eater live tour is on April 23rd through May 5th. Chances are in a town near you. What you may not know is you can win tickets to each of these events just by going to a backcountry hunters and anglers pint night. There's going to be a pint night in each of these towns: San Diego, Salt Lake City, Tempe, Anaheim, Boise, Sacramento, Missoula, Portland, Tacoma, where you can compete in Meat Eater trivia and win not only tickets to the show, but a chance to be on stage with all of us. So get your butt to a pint night, and we'll see you on stage.